Yo guys, what is up? Max in our Borderlands 4 video, and today Borderlands announced that Bloomreaper the Invincible, our first free raid boss, is going to be dropping tomorrow. Along with Bloomreaper launching, they're going to be doing a variety of improvements across gameplay, summons behavior, which hopefully means some trouble buffs, gear, and visuals. In this video, we're going to be kind of mainly going over some builds for each Vault Hunter so that you can be prepped and ready to go for Bloomreaper. These builds are going to be really good at sustaining damage, survivability, and I'm hoping they're great across the different aspects that you're going to need to bring for this boss fight. Obviously, I will have like updated videos and stuff like that, but Bloomreaper tomorrow, they did not give us much time in advance, and it sounds like it's going to be dropping with a fair bit of buffs as well. Hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. Let's do this. So from the gameplay that we've seen, it looks like Bloomreaper is going to have some sort of extended immune phase. You can see here that the full boss is actually kind of like buried underground, and it doesn't look like it's damageable. And so builds that rely on like one-shot tech, whether you're using like a spread launcher to shoot once, or you don't have good action skill uptime, you really only build for like a single high instance of damage, probably not going to be super great here. You're going to want builds that are able to sustain high amounts of damage. There's also basically zero cover here. There's nothing to hide behind. So you're definitely going to want ways to heal and keep up some survivability. And so that's kind of the builds that I want to like just showcase today. So we're going to do a build per character. The build I'm going to recommend for Harlowe is Infinicrit. Both like Neutron Capture and her like Halo builds are probably going to be great. I think Infinicrit has a little bit more survivability and better like damage uptime. We're also going to be able to stack Halo on the ads. So that's what I'm personally going to be bringing in for Harlowe. I'll have all of the builds down in the description so you can look at the max roll planners. Because obviously I'm not going to do a full build breakdown for every single one. But Infinicrit Harlowe, this is the skill tree. We're using a full green tree. With full green tree, we're going to be able to get a good action skill cooldown back from confirmative reality. So if our action skill ever goes down, we can get it back up, which is really, really nice. We're going to be using the Bio Robot class mod for points into sustain reaction. Whenever we kill an enemy or any of the ads in the arena, we'll get part of our action skill refunded. And while our action skill is up, we have 100% true crit chance, increased crit damage. We're going to put 1 point into accretion so that we can lifesteal and a distribution function so we can constantly get our shield back. So we're going to be healing and getting our shield back with this build. We'll also have infinite ammo with critical funding, tons of extra damage with meltdown, and increased uptime of our action skill, plus decoherence for a massive damage multiplier. With that, we can basically use any weapon. If the bod is not nerfed tomorrow, that's going to be the main weapon of choice. Using a sticky bod, we'll deal with vile enemies and also the boss. If it is nerfed or there's any changes to it, I think the Wombo combo is going to be great. Should be good against vile enemies. There's a bunch of other like just high damage weapons. The Queen's Rest, for example, is crazy for bossing. The Convergence is also really good against vile enemies. Bunch of different options you could use on this build. It's a big hitbox, so things like the Root could work really well. For the rest of our gear, I'm probably going to be rocking a War Paint for the damage boost. I use an Artillery Fuse so we can hit enemies with radiation damage to proc our passives. Bio Robot for uptime. Watts for Dinner for the extra damage. And then depending on what gun I'm using, I'll swap around different enhancements. For Rafa, I'm going to be recommending Ranger Rafa. However, I have changed his spec specifically to basically be unkillable for this boss. Our most recent like Ranger Rafa update that I did, I liked a lot. It gives it way more damage. But like, I'm not really worried about damage against this boss. I would be worried about getting like chained down and getting killed. And this setup, I would be showing some gameplay right now. You basically, on UVH5, sit in front of elite enemies and take literally 0 damage. They can't even get through your shield. So this is basically an unkillable Ranger Rafa setup that does sacrifice a tiny bit of damage to, literally never die. So the skill tree for this is going to be, we're going a little bit deeper into Red Tree to get Shield Barriest. All of these scale with overdrive bonuses, so this goes to like 200% shield recharge rate and delay, which is super nice. Huerga to keep our action skill up. And then the big thing that we're changing is we're picking up Resiliencia. This gives us damage reduction. This damage reduction is scaled by overdrive bonuses. It does not update like the rest of the skills, but this will basically basically make it so that we can't take any damage. And then while this is up, we also are getting crazy shield regen. So enemies like really can't like you could basically sit still and not die, which is really nice. And then in the red tree, we're basically going for the exact same setup as the old Ranger Rafa build, putting 5 points into Brain Dump for the stacking crit chance, putting some points into Jacques. I always pronounce this incorrectly. So we can stack up our overdrive bonuses, deadline for more fire rate and reload speed, also Dada, which is going to give us 150% gun damage. And I think Ranger Rafa is going to be really, really good for this boss. Most bosses in the game, you're not killing mobs in between. And so Ranger Rafa doesn't really ever get to activate Saltado to double all your overdrive bonuses. On this boss, we know there's going to be tons of mobs. And so you're going to be able to keep up your Saltado and stack up your Jacques, so you're going to have all of your overdrives stacked, and I think Ranger Rafa is going to be one of the strongest builds to bring in for the rest of the gear. You could basically, once again, use any weapon. I'm going to be bringing a Bod, unless it is nerfed. The Golden God's great. Dark Beast is really good. Once again, any sticky kind of weapon. And then I'll be rocking, most likely for this boss on Rafa, I think I'm going to go for a triple bypass. That way, if our action skill ever does go down, we can get it right back. Also, extra healing. I'll be rocking the Dancer class mod, a Watts for dinner, whatever enhancement I need for the guns that I'm using. And then probably, specifically on Ranger Rafa, I'll probably use a crit knife just to get the true crits that the crit knife allows, because we will be losing some true crit from our skill tree, and that will be our setup. For Vex, going to be honest, you really can't go wrong. Vex is like never struggled on any of her builds with boss damage. She's like really, really potent at killing bosses on any of her setups. Personally, I'm going to be recommending Watt Witch for a few reasons. The first is the Teen Witch class mod gives us a bunch of survivability, gives us extra lifesteal. It's going to allow our shield to be constantly up. And the reason I'm going to be going like a Teen Witch build over a Bloodshot build or like a Bleed build, which is using like a Timekeeper shield, for example, is simply for the uptime on Blood is Power. Blood is Power is one of Vex's strongest buffs possible. And if we are constantly fighting, Blood is Power is only active when our health is full. And so using builds where our health is exposed with no other added defensive layers means that the uptime on this is going to be slightly worse for extended boss fights versus a shield build that constantly keeps up the shield will give us constant uptime of Blood is Power. So we'll have all of this bonus damage plus the extra survivability of our shield and the damage from our shield on like a on our Watts for dinner. So that's what I'm going to be rocking. This is the skill tree for that build. You could maybe put like an extra 2 points into Grave Sustenance if you're worried about action skill uptime. Duration, I'm probably potentially not going to be using Witchy Trigger Finger for the boss. It depends. Could go Grave Harvest so that whenever you're killing ads, you can keep up your action skill, as we are very reliant on our action skill being up for good boss damage. But this is the skill tree for Watt Witch. For guns, the big one is the Oh My God. Oh My God is really, really solid. However, for like pure damage output, Bod still wins. This build is disgusting with a Bod, so I'm most likely just going to be rocking a Bod. Once again, if this gets nerfed, we'll like mess around with other things. Probably be using a triple bypass to get extra cooldown, so that if our action skill ever does go down, we can get this right back up. Going to be using crit knife for the true crit, Watts for dinner, whatever enhancement we need, and that is kind of the setup. By the way, none of the builds that I'm going to be showcasing are relying on the spread launcher. I think that could potentially get nerfed, and also spread launcher has a cooldown. So, like, you know, if you miss it or the boss goes immune when you shoot it, I just don't think it's, like, super great damage uptime. Really good for one-shots, but we do know this is going to have immune phases. So, like, I'm not super, like, excited about spread launchering it. For Amon, I'm going to be rocking our Ordnance build. I made a small tweak specifically for Bloomreaper on, like, boss one-shots. I had 3 points into Berserk to get bonus cryo damage, so you'd pop your like abilities, shoot your rocket launcher, get some extra bonus cryo damage on there. I don't think that's going to be super worth, because you're not going to want to be like saving your abilities with no way to refresh Berserk. I don't think it's like super important for this specific boss. And instead, I'm going to put in those points into a Machinist to give us the extra quality of life of whenever we kill any of the adds. If our ordnance does go on cooldown, if we miss any shots, we can just shoot some enemies. Plus, we're going to be on axes. Axes are really nice because we're going to be using the specialization tripwire, reduce ordnance cooldown whenever our action skill is activated. So, like, if we shoot our rocket launcher and it goes away, we can just, like, activate our action skill and then get that ordnance right back. Then whenever we're killing, like, if our ordnance ever does go down, you don't have to play perfectly. We're going to be able to get it right back. And then we're going to have, like, a ton of damage. Unless the mobbing is, like, crazy, I'm most likely just going to be using the honey bunches. But if there is a lot of mobbing to do, I'll probably pull out a disc jockey. Disc jockeys are just ridiculous on Amon. Could potentially use a bottled lightning as well. But this is the skill tree. Basically, the idea behind the build is with our ordnances, we're going to be proccing blackouts. Blackouts give us tons of ordnance damage based off of shock. Plus Tail of the Comet. This is going to give us cryoprocs. Those are both going to feed into Primal Surge to restore our shield and ammo so that we get really good uptime on our ordnance. And then in the red tree, we're going to be getting Catastrophe, which gives us crit chance from our shock and crit damage from our burning. And whenever we're applying those shock dots from Blackout, we get Electrical Fire, which basically doubles the damage of Blackout. We do know that this is a health bar enemy, so getting free burn dots scaling off of Blackout is going to be massive. And then we can get some extra, like, ordnance damage, status effect damage, stacking up more status effect damage, more gun damage, and some extra, like, shield regen and some movement speed. Should be really, really solid. For the gear, I'm probably going to be using a Kill Spring for the extra healing and survivability, potentially. I think Kill Spring will be very, very nice on the setup for this boss. Cyborg Classmon for the additional ordnance uptime. You could change this back to use, like, an Icebringer. I don't think it's going to be all that necessary. With the, like, basically double damage of dots from Blackout and going deep into Red Tree, I think is going to be more than justified. Plus Watts for dinner with Siphon and Amp enhancement with basically just, like, gun damage. Whatever ordnance you want to use, I'm mainly going to be using the honey bunches, unless, of course, like, you were really mobbing for extended periods of time where I'll pull out a disc jockey. I like using a Buri with a taser so that we can proc some of our, like, passives and proc those shock dots to get our damage scaling. I'll probably have, like, a Wombo combo or a spread launcher or, like, a Tediore on an offhand just in case we go down so we can get some easy fight for our lives. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Pretty crazy that they're giving us less than 24 hours notice for Bloomreaper. I really was hoping that they were going to, like, hype it up a bit more and do some marketing, maybe drop some trailers. Oh well. But Bloomreaper will be dropping tomorrow. I'll have coverage and be blasting it a lot of tomorrow. It is my wife's birthday tomorrow, so I won't be able to play all day, but should be really, really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.